Hello everyone, I'm Hollis. Long time no see you. Today I will introduce for you the others including the waist yarn, the narrowing and aiding stitch, the yarn sighting, the other parameters. When we selection the other pages, you can find the effective needles, the neck narrowing mode and body narrowing mode and other parameters. Today I will introduce for you how to use this function. The first function, the effective needles, corresponds to the narrowing needles when the narrowing needles less than or same with the effective needles. It will appear narrowing code. You see, red main body narrowing 3 needles and 2 needles, narrowing 1 needles are indicated by narrowing code. The neck narrowing code also same, left main body same. But when the number of narrowing needles more than the effective needles, for example, we input 2 value here, let's check again. You see, only narrowing 2 needles and narrowing 1 needles are still indicated by narrowing code. Narrowing 3 needles disappear, left the main body narrowing 3 needles same. Generally, the effective needles will set 7 value. You see, its normal state. The flat narrowing including single needles once, double needles, main yarn dolphin, here with selection, double needles. Let's check it. You see this area is left flat narrowing part. This area is right flat narrowing part. The collar flat narrowing, same with the main body flat narrowing. The single needles, double needles, and the main yarn dolphin you can check by yourself and find the difference. The minimum tuck needles corresponds to the place with flat narrowing tab in the process sheet area. You see, this area corresponds flat narrowing part. When the flat narrow needles more than the minimum tuck needles, it will appear one needle is used for flat narrowing before cast off. Let's check. You see, right side 1 needle, left side 1 needle. But when the number of flat narrowing less than the minimum tuck needles, it will not appear one needle used for flat narrowing before cast off. Let's check it. You see, the left side and the right side, no one needle is used for flat narrowing before cast off. Generally, the minimum tuck needles will set 5 value. The cast off zone refer the knitting rows of flat narrowing part. Here is 5 value. Let's check it. You see this area not including empty row. 1 rows, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows. Left side same rows 1, 2, 3, 4. These rows you can change as required. For example, input 4 rows. Let's check it. You see the rows 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Generally, the cast-off row is at 5 rows. The cotton rounds corresponds the single with yarn. The single with yarn also we call the double single with yarn. You see, 10 rows, 4 rounds equal with 10 rows, no problem. Normally we use 16 code stand for head color. Here, the head color not only indicate needle network, you see, the needle network, but also stand for yarn carrying. You see, with the yarn mode can effective before we need cancel cast off with yarn and no selection code. Generally, the with yarn mode with selection addition knitting 1. You see from here to there, the with yarn needles have changed. The ending with yarn needles same way the start with yarn needles. It's good for continuous knitting. The other options you can check by yourself and find the difference. The narrow tab including the same row, left first narrow, right first narrow. Here we selecting the same row. Let's check it. You see the left and the right side narrow needles in the same row. When your selection left first narrow, let's check again. You see the left narrow needles firstly, then narrowing right needles. The right first narrow you can check by yourself and find the difference. The dummy tuck collar and the dummy tuck hat can effective. We need a selection. Dummy tuck. Here we selection tuck and the dummy tuck hat according to the process sheet. You see the neck shape are indicated by tuck code. When we selection view, let's check again. You see the neck shape are indicated by back knitting code. The non-knitting you can check by yourself and find the difference. The dummy tack had the default setting is 0. The showing needle mode here including tack transfer and non-tack. With selection tack, the showing needle mode corresponds to the place with the cotton tap and with one effective value. You see this area, cotton and one effective value. You see this area is showing tack. When selection transfer, let's check it. You see the transfer code instead of tack code. The non-tack you can check by yourself. Normally, the tack transfer and non-tack according to your required and the selection one of it. The neck narrowing mode and the body narrowing mode can be divided in two modes. One is normal mode, another is lighter mode or stepping mode. When we selection normal mode, the narrow needles will finish it at one time. You see left main body narrowing finish at one time. The right main body narrowing needles also at one time. When we selection lighter, let's check again. You see the left neck and right neck narrowing mode has changed. But the main body narrowing mode no change. Generally, the narrow needles with edge can't change. The narrow needles without edge can change. So we input 0 value. Let's check again. You see, the narrowing 3 needles finish at 2 steps. First step narrowing 1 needles, then narrowing 2 needles. Generally, narrowing 1 or 2 needles with selection normal mode. Narrowing 3 or more needles with selection lighter mode or stepping mode. The needle direction including yang direction, head once 1 mode, head once 2 mode, and other option mode. Here we selection yang direction mode. For convenience to check with selection one system, click yang feeder direction. You see, when left side addition needle, the yang direction towards right side. And when right side addition needles, the yang carrier direction always towards left side. You see. When we selection had once one mode. You see here one needle not work. When we selection had once two mode. Let's check again. You see here two needle not work. Other options you can check by yourself and find the difference. The auto height. The default setting is not built and hide once one mode, hide once two mode according to your required selection. One of it, try again. The gripper close. The default setting value is 61. The collar bottom flat narrowing, same with main body flat narrowing and the collar flat narrowing. The single needles, double needles, main yarn fin, you can check by yourself and find difference. The 8 runs, the default setting value is 20. The separate transfer, including transfer 1 by 1, transfer 1 by 2, transfer 1 by 3, and other options. Here we select transfer 1 by 1. Compare and check the compare result. You see the needle, you see the area needle. The needle firstly carried out transfer action, then next the needle carried out transfer action. Transfer 1 by 2, 1 by 3, you can check by yourself and find the difference. The V-neck mark here we no use. Generally the V-neck mark is used below neck mark head design pattern. The automatic clip cut action. The auto press yarn mode. The auto press yarn use with yarn one-way selection comb. The three options can effective. When we select automatic clip cut action, it will automatic clip yarn and automatic cut yarn. Also, it will have mark information on the function line 22 file. Click function file 22 file. You see here has a mark information. When you select auto press yarn, use waste yarn. You see, use number 1 yarn, press number 3 yarn. If you want to use number 5 yarn, we need press yarn by ourselves. Insert one row and modify the value. You see. When we selection comb auto press yarn mode, you see the yarn part is compressed into one row. Compare and check the compare result. You see number 8 yarn press number 1 and number 3 yarn. If you want to use number 5 yarn, we know modified by ourselves. Selection next split. Compare and check the compare result. You see the number 5 yarn already pressed by number 8 yarn. When we select insert a row when clipping and narrowing, it will auto insert one row. You see, this row is auto-insert row. When your selection cast always waste yarn, it refers to no double waste yarn. You see, here double waste yarn disappear, directly carried out dolphin single waste yarn. When your selection use one feeder for waste yarn, you see only use number one yarn feeder for knitting the waste yarn. When you do the selection, use one feeder for waste yarn. Let's check again. You see use number one and number seven yarn carrier for knitting the waste yarn. When your selection use a waste yarn, when your selection use a waste yarn color yarn, you see the number one yarn carrier firstly knitting the left side waste yarn, then knitting the right side waste yarn. When you know use a waste color yarn, let's check again. You see the left side waste yarn and the right side waste yarn on the same row. When your selection comb yarn carry out and waste yarn carry out, it refers to the comb yarn carrier and waste yarn carrier can leave knitting area safely. So far today's course is over. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye everyone.